Hey, welcome back a second time for this receiver. This is, I'm going to call it part 2, why not? Okay, so in the last part I went through, did a lot of work. Actually, my mistake, I blew up one of the channels in the power amplifier, but I repaired that and now it's all back working 100%. Sounds great. I tried it out. This receiver sounds fantastic. It's got a nice sound to it. I wouldn't say it's sonically pure, but it does have its own colorations, and I think it's not offensively colorated. Like the bass is a little not what I'm used to, but it sounds really good, and it has a nice sound to it. Just for the course of when I pick up a piece of equipment, I repair it, I set it up on my desk and I test drive it for a while just to see if any bugs come out, and yeah, sure enough, this isn't a new bug. It was one that I mentioned in the last video, but I did nothing about. I kind of ignored it, which isn't right. What it is there's a problem with the microphone phono amplifier in this, I believe, and I'll demonstrate here to you right now. Turn this. Need some power. Okay. Now I'm in auxiliary. Turn the volume maximum. Silent. AM's working great. Turn it to a quiet spot on the dial. Volume works great. FM, same thing.
Wanna know how?
It's working good. Problem exists when I turn it to phono. I'll turn the volume up so you hear it. Listen to what happens. There's a very loud scratch and bang. Now if I take the volume knob, you can hear it's almost like I'm getting DC through from the phono amp, and then after a while it settles down. See, now I don't hear it anymore. Turn it up, all I hear is the amplifier noise. At least leave it half volume, and let's turn it to mic. Okay, so that switch probably needs more cleaning. I didn't clean it, but I think I have a DC offset in the phono amp. Now I did feed a 1 millivolt tone signal through it, and it was working fine, so I just left it. The microphone and the phono share the same amplifier because they're both relatively the same line levels. They're both really low level inputs. So they do share the amplifier on the input side, and then on the output side there's just a switch between the two to select which one you want. This is a mono microphone input, I believe, and I think it runs off one channel only. Let me see here. See, there you can hear the hiss from the amplifier, and here, there it goes. It's mostly in the left channel. So I'm going to open this up and investigate that phono amplifier, make sure everything's 100% in there. I'll check all the capacitors in there, make sure that they're good. It sounds to me like I have maybe a leaky capacitor that's letting DC go through, or maybe I have an open resistor, or I'm not leaning towards a transistor because I did feed tones through it and it was working great. But I am going to pull this apart here and clean the switch and take a good look at that amplifier. When I go through a piece of equipment like this, I want to make sure that it's 100% before I put it up for sale and pass it along to a new owner, because I want it to be perfect electronically as much as I can get it perfect for, you know, a piece this old. But you know, I want to make sure that it's good, And to me, that's not good. That's unacceptable for a receiver of this caliber. So let's pull the bottom off, pull the top off, and see what we can find. Okay, so I'm looking over the schematic here, the front end of this phono amp, microphone amp. There's two discrete amplifiers. One, they both have two transistors. They have a on the input side, they have 4.7 microfarad DC blocking capacitor. On the output, they have a 47 microfarad blocking capacitor. And everything's fed from a 13 volt power supply. And from what I can tell, the microphone goes in and it is fed directly to the left channel amp, and then after it goes through some passive components, there's a signal that's taken off and then it's fed into the right channel. That's what it looks like to me. So what I can do is I can measure on the tape output jacks. If I follow the signal path through these two convoluted switches, there's these two 4-gang switches. Well, they're 8-gang actually. There's 8 gangs in here, and they're all running together. And this does all the business of switching between AM, FM, phono, auxiliary. But the signal appears on the tape output. The output of this amplifier, the output of this amplifier ends up on the output of these tape output. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure for DC on there, because it looks like it's just a straight shot. There's no other. Hang on here. It goes through a 4.7K resistor. And I think the 4.7K, no, it's not 4.7K. Okay, but let's measure the output of these amplifiers. Let's see here, where is the output? Right there. You can't see. Oh, it's right here. Okay, let's turn this on. Is it on? I can't see. No, I need power. Okay, turn it on. There we go. And we'll do the right channel first. The voltmeter here. Let's switch through the ranges. Okay, we're on auxiliary, AM, FM, and then we're going to switch to phono. Wow, 5 volts, 6 volts, 3 volts. That's not right. And it's dropping. That's incredible, half a volt. It slowly drops. And it drops to 0. Okay, let's do the other channel. That's the microphone. 4 volts, 3 volts. Okay, let's go back and check the left channel. I have to figure out, I have to weasel my probe in here. Actually, let's shut this off. Let's just shut this off for now and reset everything back to 0. Okay, we'll start with 0 again. Turn it on. AM, FM, 3 volts, 2 volts. That's phono. That's microphone. It's not as bad as the right channel. We definitely have a problem. So you're going to have to pull this board out and see what the hell's going on with it. You might probably have bad caps on it, or something else going on. First thing I want to do is I want to check the power supply to this board, and it says B+ here, so I'm going to do this here. I got turn this on, 14 volts, stable. I don't think that's any problem right there. Okay. So I think we're good. Okay, so I've gone through the caps on these two amplifiers, and with an ESR meter they're all checking out good, but ESR meter won't tell you if a cap is leaking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shotgun this. I'm going to replace all of these 9 caps here. I don't think it's going to do any harm. We'll change them all and then we'll see if we get an improvement on our output of the DC offset. Okay, I got the capacitors replaced. Now it's testing time. I just want to try it out and see how it's going. So I got this on auxiliary right now. Let's turn up the volume. I'll put it halfway. AM. It's even worse. I wonder if I have a bad transistor. Let me measure the voltage again on the tape output. Okay, here we go. Turning it on. Yeah, we still got 3. Such a high voltage and then it drops. Makes a lot of noise. I don't have any grounds hooked up right now, so maybe that's the reason why it's freaking out. But I'm going to check some transistors here. Okay, I got the caps out of the phono amplifier equalizer. These 2 caps are on the output of the amplifier, and I just want to check with my tester. This is giving me. This is measuring DC resistance of the capacitor. So it's actually the internal leakage. So I'm getting about 350K, about that. Which isn't bad, but it isn't great. I would like to see it a lot higher. Here's the other one from the other channel. And what do we got here? It's about 450 or so. So they're both pretty consistent. These 4 were removed from the input, and I think there's a interstage cap in there too. It's on hanging off one of the collectors. And these ones are 4.7 microfarad at 25 volt, and I'll check DC resistance of these ones. And as you can see, it's much better. This is the hell. This is more of a number that I like to see, right in the megohm range. And let's try another one. And yeah, it's over 10 megohms, 9. Another one. So now you can see in contrast the other 2 capacitors are low. They're less than half a megohm. This one's 8.5, and the last one is up around 10. Okay, and these 3 caps were power filtering caps. This large one here is a 100 microfarad 16 volts. I removed this and replaced it with a 470 microfarad. Just to increase its capacity, and this one has about 200K leakage. That doesn't really matter. These other 2, I don't even know where they came from because they're not even on my schematic. They might be, yeah, I'm not even sure, but they were in there. So I'm going to measure the leakage on these, and I'm getting about 23K, which is pretty low. And the next one is yeah, again it's about 21K. So these ones doesn't really matter. They're in power conditioning filtering. I don't care if they leak. These ones I'm really concerned about because they are leaking at around half a megohm or so, or less. These ones are more normal. They're up in the 10 megohm range or so. So let's check capacitance and ESR on these. Remember, these two are on the output. And I got a 59 microfarads at 2 ohms ESR. And the ESR is a little bit high. And the capacitance is a little bit high. This one's really high on capacitance. It's supposed to be 47. It's coming out at 73. These 4.7 microfarads, they're high too. Yeah, you get the picture. And then the power filtering cap, I just want to see this one, what this one looks like. Yeah, it's about 1 ohm ESR. Should be less than that, it should be around 0.7. And these two, should be 100. And it's way out. I'd say that's faulty. And then this one, same thing. So you get the idea. I think these caps, although the circuit worked with them and everything was going good, I don't think these caps were helping that phono stage. Replace them with nice Nichicon gold audio caps. Like I said, the power filter cap on that board, I upgraded from 100 microfarad to 470, just to give it an extra kick on the cleaning up the DC supply. Now I'm going to take that amplifier and I'm going to check it again to see what kind of stray voltages we have. I throw these away. What kind of stray voltages we have on the outputs again. Okay, let's do some more troubleshooting here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure the voltage coming out of that cap. The cap is right here and right here. You can see. Maybe you can't see that; it's not in frame. But I'm going to measure this one. This comes out of the output of the the output of the amplifier is here. Goes through this 47 microfarad cap, and then over to here. And right now it says it's minus negative 3.2 volts. Let's turn the amp on. And you'll see how that voltage swings in the positive direction, 3.5. Check the other channel. It's at 1.9. And slowly dropping. I think my meter's loading it, that's why. So when I switch this to phono, you can see it drops quickly. That charge is being bled off the cap. I don't know why that cap is being charged that way, other than it's leaking DC resistance. Now let me shut this off of phono, and you'll see it starts climbing back up again. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to get like a 0.5 megohm resistor, and I'm going to tack it across ground to those points, those 2 points, and we'll see if it keeps that line bled down, and we can reduce some of that switching noise. Okay, I'm getting really weird mixed results here, and I'll tell you what I did is I cleaned this area with some alcohol, cleaned off the flux, and it seems one channel is a little better now. Even though I still have flux here, I should clean it better. This This one trace is very close to the B plus line. I don't know if that's part of the problem or what, but the flux is definitely causing me headaches here, I think. Anyways, I'm going to measure one channel and shut off. I got 19 millivolts on the output side of the capacitor. Turn it on, and it does wild things. It goes up to 6.2 volts and starts its decline. Oh, I also forgot to mention I tacked a 560k ohm resistor across from ground to that capacitor line, that output. So that should help bleed that down. Doesn't seem to be going very fast. The other channel, I'm up at 2.5 volts. Now if I switch this over to phono, it drops like a rock. And the other channel is down 2. And then it stays around 10 or so millivolts and hangs there. Now that's not right. It shouldn't be at 10 millivolts. It should be at 0. I don't understand what's feeding this thing current. See, one channel is at 11, 10, which is acceptable, and this one's at 12. And if I let it sit for a while, it doesn't change, it stays. That one's 11, 9 millivolts. Slowly going down. 8. This channel's gone down too. Now if I switch it away from phono, you see it starts climbing back up again. So something's feeding current into that one trace. 6. 2. Keeps climbing. Even with the 500 or half a meg ohm resistor tacked on here, it still climbs back up. See, now it's back up to around 30. And the other channel is got a little more, there's no resistor on this channel, so it's climbing faster. See? This did down around 32. I thought tacking that resistor would bring that down. So I measure the DC resistance of these caps, brand new caps, and they measure out at around 700 kilo ohms, which is a little better than the ones that were in there. The ones that were in there were, I think they were at 300 or 400 kilo ohms, but definitely wrong capacitor for this application if it's going to bleed DC through and charge up, and you know, when you switch it to phono, you get like a big bang in the speakers because there's 6 volts or 5 volts of DC offset sitting on the line. I don't think it's faulty in the sense that any components have gone bad, but I do think it's faulty in the sense that it wasn't designed right. So I think I got 560k ohm resistor here now. I think I might lower this to maybe 470k. I'm just worried about, you know, if I put too low of resistance shunting to ground, is I'm going to lose any performance out of this amplifier or any signal clarity. That's what my main concern is right now. I'm going to try 470 and see how bad it is, or how much better it gets, I guess. Okay, so I removed that 560k ohm resistor and I tacked in 2 470k ohms, and I'm going to leave it at that. Let's try it one more time. I have a feeling it's just going to do the same thing. Where are we in the volume here? We're about halfway. Let's go down a little bit. AM, FM. It's still thumping, but it's not as bad. We got some hum because we got the covers off. Switches are clean now. I'm going to leave it like that. Can't do anything more for it. It's not broken. It's a design feature. That's what it, you know. It is what it is. So there's not much I can do about this. The way the circuit's made. I wish they didn't put that 47 microfarad cap on the output there, but they did. These 470s will keep the charge from building up, I hope. Let's try connecting a source, a tone to the phono and see how that sounds. Alright, we got the amp on right now. We're on phono. Crank it right up. Get some noise pickup. Let's feed it 1 millivolt. Sounds good on both channels. So, phono stage is working great. It shouldn't give anybody a problem with those 470k resistors there. So I'm going to leave it like that and wrap this up. Alright. Let's see. Not much else to say about this. I thought I had a problem to fix, but apparently it's designed that way, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Alright. This one's up for sale. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching.